Toast reviews will not be seen today because it's not Wednesday. Alright, I've got something else today. Hello from the land of TV, this is King Cool, and I'm kind of in a bad mood right now. You'll see one thing. I'm going to move this over here so I can actually access my stuff I'm cooking. I'm here, I'm making up some rice. And I'm going to answer a question that probably some people have had in the past, which is, why toast reviews? And I'm like, you know, my main reason for doing toast reviews is twofold. One, I'm a lover of the absurd. Get a little salt that's left in there. And two, is because basically, I don't want to get hassled. I used to put up stuff that wasn't in my copyright on YouTube. And since then, I have stopped doing that because one of the people recognized it, their stuff, and said, hey, stop doing that. And I got a copyright strike against my account that finally cleared after almost 2 years. And finally, okay, apparently he's not doing it anymore, which is good because I'm like, you know what, and I took off everything else that had any trace of it, of anyone else's content. So, and I'm like, you know what, I've learned my lesson, I'm not going to do that, forget this. And that's why I do the toast reviews, because every ounce of it, as I've said a few times, every ounce of it is something that I've made. There's no copywritten music, there's no theme song, there's not even any Creative Commons, well, public domain stuff. It's just everything that I've made and that I've shot with my system. So, but now, as we think about this, like we got this PIPA and the SOPA. Now I don't know much about the I think it's the PIPA is the one I know more about. The SOPA I don't know as much about, but PIPA basically says like, yeah, if someone does something with your IP, you can sue them to get them to take it down, even if it's like a forum link or anything. And I'm like, you know, I just wonder what Facebook thinks about this, because I'm like, you know, it can hold like people on social networks responsible for this stuff, and it's absurd. And you know, the people on That Guy with the Glasses and other sites that depend on making videos and using the fair use in the DMCA are all up in arms about this. And they went to Washington and talked to their senators, and you know, you hope that this isn't actually going to pass, but finally, I'm just sort of ticked off about this because, just because I don't make content that uses any copyright material doesn't mean that I don't think that people should have the right to do it. Because they also, That Guy with the Glasses just had a couple of DDoS attacks, and you hope it's not related, because I don't even know what that would say, unless it's just people are taking the opportunity to do it. But that's neither here nor there. That's off topic. But I want to, like, I have the players because I want to talk about scenes, and sometimes I have to bring up the players, and like, here's our hero. That's this guy's name. He's my main guy. Now, he's an unaltered action figure that I bought at the Dollar Tree downtown, not downtown, but in a different place, like ages ago for a different project. In fact, I have backups just in case I lose him. I have this one. See, he's still in the box. In fact, he doesn't have the 666 written across his chest. I didn't actually know that until I pulled that out just now. Or like, Princess Candy is just a Pez dispenser. Now, I always wanted to have someone be a Pez dispenser because, especially a lady character, because I wanted her to be completely unsexualized. You know, which is, you know, absurd in Hollywood where every woman is basically hypersexualized. So that's why I wanted to do that. But, you know, those are basically the property of another company. And it's like, are they going to go out and say this? Or what about Double Batman? Double Batman is just two Batman figures lashed together. Now, if I started selling this merchandise, I think they could go out and have a thing. But just using them, am I not then using someone's copywritten material by doing this? Let's say this guy, who still doesn't have a name, but this was a brush I bought, and it just was not good enough for my hair because it's not strong enough for me. But I just made it. I'm like, I'm going to use this somehow, and I made him this guy. You know, now he's somewhat reminiscent of Stickly. I'll admit that. Wasn't really intentional, but are they going to sue me because he's too similar or something? You know, or you know, this guy, the tube guy. Like, for all I know, someone has a copyright on that, but I hope not, because I hope not this. Or this is the main thing, Dr. Eyebaltron. I built him out of, I bought these this firefighter set, also at the Dollar Tree, and I took him apart so I could spray paint his legs and his suit separately. I took the head and I melted it. I'm gonna get close. So I melted it so I could push that eye in and make it flat, because he didn't have a flat head at first. is he not made out of the parts of other copywritten material, I suppose? Because it's a toy that I bought and I altered, but is it not similar? You know, is he not constructed of some sort of an amalgamation of copywritten material? Did I show him yet, Minion? This is just a domino. As far as I'm aware, nobody can sue me because of this. But is this what we're getting to, where things have to be, you know, our culture is permeated by these people, by Hollywood and other institutions trying to make us care about their wares and trying to make us give two craps. I'm going to put on the vent. Turn that down. Trying to make us care about the movies and television, etc. that they make, and trying to get it into our culture. But once we are trying to use it in any way, they go out and say, no, that's ours, you can't use it in some way that for some reason they disapprove of. And I think that this is getting to be completely nonsensical. Like, the reason I didn't start a show, the reason I do toast reviews instead of a show a la the guys and that guy with glasses, is because I started distracted reviews basically in response to them and being like, alright, we don't all have to be some guy looking directly at the camera, highly scripted, using clips, making the same sort of jokes, running gags, all this other stuff. It's like, there's plenty of people who criticize what they do, but none of them seem to be very good, but there is room for criticism. And it's like, you know what, like sometimes they just get into habits, and I'm trying to do something different from that. But you know what this whole thing about the SOPA makes me want to do? It makes me want to start a show where it's just me on camera, watch out there, where it's just me on camera talking about this. Wow, watch out. Where it's just me on camera complaining about things, using copywritten clips, just doing what everyone else does, because at this point I'm just sort of, I'll let that settle for a bit. I'm just kind of ticked off that that they're trying to take away something like this. They say that this can't be, that there's actually going to be a law that basically says like all this sort of entertainment is going to be disallowed. Now, you know, I could live without any of that stuff. I don't want to put the lid in, I'll let you settle. But I mean, think about it. It's like, this is sort of the same thing where it's like, oh no matter what, you can't draw that guy. You know who I'm talking about. But how many people would have drawn that guy if they hadn't gone out and said, no, you can't. You can't. Someone who doesn't even belong to the same things as you. It's like, screw you. No, it's like, we'll do this. But now it's like the government will somehow have power over the entire internet, that if anyone does it, they can be held criminally liable, even if you sing yourself a pop song in utter silence. You know, you could be held in criminally liable and go to jail for 5 years. This is absurd. This is ridiculous. My main point is like I've got another show coming up that I'm going to start in January. I'm going to try to, and it was just going to be, you know, a clip of something that I create over. You know, you would see why I wouldn't need clips from this stuff. But you know what this makes me want to do? It makes me want to go and do the show the regular way, with the clips and stuff, because to hell with it. No concession that we make is ever good enough. And the way that they are like, they're trying to smother these things is, I think, completely against the point of this stuff. You know, basically, this media, these review things, I mean, yeah, there's some problems with it, but basically, there's nothing wrong with what they do, and it must be, it has to be considered under fair use. You know, I think, you know, maybe there's some interpretation where it's not, but then we need to do that and not just make some other law that supersedes it. You know, and they talk about the other places that have things like this, where the government can totally just disconnect some website because of this. The only other countries that have this are, you know, that I heard, are Iran and China. It's like, are we really want to be like them? Damn it! You know, like they go out and say it's like that this is necessary for them to like maintain some sort of profit or whatever. It's like, this is basically, it comes down to basic autocracy, where they want our lives to be full of their product and appreciation of them, but any use that does not get them direct money, they oppose. And it's like, this is getting ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, like, I hope my metaphor with Dr. Eyebaltron here makes sense, where it's like, yes, Dr. Eyebaltron himself is composed of the things that are you know, made of something else. In fact, like, he goes and reads the labels on the backs of things, where he's like, I don't know, Alka-Seltzer says, if you are now taking a prescription monoamine oxidase inhibitor, you know, that wasn't on camera, but whatever. Those things are copywritten, I suppose. But where does it end? Where does it end, and where do we actually have the autonomy to actually use something that we see? You know, and I'm not saying that everything should be free, and I am a staunch opponent of piracy. I say if you're going to rip the clips out of something, I hope the people who have these things at least buy the damn DVD. I bought the DVD for them. I was thinking about doing something with this for. But it's like, I don't know, it's discouraging, and it's, I don't know, I think I've said what I gotta say. But, so if you are interested in looking at this stuff, just, I'm sure I have a link at the bottom. You know, hopefully this will pass. It will just seem like one of those things that we're just not really that worried about. But it's just like, oh, the flip side of that coin was, I remember, I think it was Scott Kirst on his Twitter mentioned on Etsy. It's like, yeah, some guy's just selling a replication of the Never-Ending Story, like a Kindle case. And so, like, yeah, I guess copyright doesn't exist. And so we have this weird double-edged thing where, you know, unlike, you can just make something of a copywritten picture and just sell it and just be like, yep, that doesn't matter, that sort of thing doesn't exist. But for, you know, for the little people, or especially if it's like the little people getting screwed over, like let's say there's a really famous artist out there who's stealing things from Dave Kelly, from Schmorky. Let's just say that happened. He doesn't seem to ever have any problem with that nonsense, but if it's an enormous corporation, nope, you can't do that. This is just maddening. So yeah, someday I might just make a show where I do this, especially if it doesn't pass, because it's like, I'm not going to say this is an inalienable right, but the notion that we can't use these clips in review and stuff, which is in direct contravention of the DMCA, is nonsense. I simply didn't do it at first because I didn't want to get hassled, but now I think my ability to, my desire to not get hassled is a lot less than my desire to tell these guys to just screw. Anyway, I might be over time at this point. I'm glad you all sat here and watched this thing boil. That's it from me. This is King Cool. Drive home safe.